Go ahead, take a seat so we can get started. That's okay. Go ahead, take a seat so we can get started. Thank you very much and welcome for being. Glad you all are here tonight. We are, just as we talked about at the 20th at our open association meeting, tonight is a town hall. We'll be covering on the agenda one topic, and that is access. There'll be really what we're anticipating from you guys is a lot of your input related to this topic. And as I said, we also have people on the Zoom that'll be probably, I'm sure, contributing quite a lot of information depending on the numbers that we have out there. But again, we're looking for your inputs to this. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chad, and he's going to lead us through this effort.
Hey everyone, of course, I'm Chad Andrews. As you know, this past summer, we really started getting a lot of feedback about people coming in the neighborhood. We started hearing about non-residents. We talked about the bicycles coming in, the golf carts coming in, cars coming in, people using the boat launch area, and so on. So of course, we really, brainstormed our first town hall this past summer. And the whole idea was about our access. And we got great approval, and we got everybody's feedback. And of course, as everybody knows here, we really started in September. And we started really just going back through and documenting all of everybody's access. And it was really a great way to actually introduce and meet people. And of course, it was a fantastic way because as people are coming into the neighborhood, of course, already, we were sitting down with them and say, hey, on our access, for example, you have 5 cards. And they were saying, oh, we do, but one got lost or one got cracked. It was fantastic because we went ahead and deactivated those. This is a common basis. It happens instantly. We've had people already just in the last month or two have sold their vehicles. But of course, they need to let us know so we could deactivate their tag reader that was on their cars. And so it's a constant ongoing process. Same thing with fobs. That's something we learned all through the month of September, especially, and we continued all through October, November, December. But at the same time, we went ahead and put it into our yearly mailing, and we had so many more residents, especially people who just own parcels and properties in here. They were contacting us because they had not seen it on the website for the 6 months prior, or they had not seen the mass emails going out. So all through January, all through February, we constantly just went through and continue to update people. And this is an ongoing process. So please remember, if you sell your car tomorrow, you need to let us know because we need to deactivate that tag reader. Or if you lose a card or so on, it's a constant process. So the one thing we really want to do, that was really our phase 1. Yes, sir. You can. But again, and it's supposed to be if you actually sell the car to a dealership, they're supposed to. And you can definitely do that yourself. But for example, we've already had a couple of residents tell us they forgot and they sold their car, obviously on the Facebook marketplace or something to that nature. And then they told us weeks later. Well, great, it's not a problem, but we deactivated that tag reader at that point. So yeah, that is definitely something we just need to know constantly, and that's our access team. So the one thing with this, we really, at this stage, we want to start really looking at phase 2. So now we've got most of our residents already activated and registered, and we know where everything's going on as far as our lot owners. And again, this is a constant issue. We have over 40 some homes under construction. So just like today, we have brand new residents. Their house is finishing, they're moving in tomorrow. So they are up here, and we're getting new cards, new tag readers, and we're documenting all of their contact information. So that's, again, it's an ongoing process. So the one thing is our next step, we're actually doing some research on, and we really want to gather everyone's attention and ideas about this, is the physical measure. So some of the ideas that's been brought up to us in the past months, just as board members, have said, oh my gosh, what about if we ever want gate arms? Because some people talk about how if one car comes in the main gate, the 3 or 4 or 5 more behind can piggyback straight in. So would a gate arm ever be to where it's only allowing one car at a time? Another thing has been brought up to us, we ever want to go back to having a guard back at the gate. And that's just an idea because, again, obviously, just like this week, we had, unfortunately, a whole entire trestle person to bring it in for their homes actually hit the gate again. So the gate was open 24 hours. Would a guard being there, could they have helped navigate the truck through? Or after it was broken, would they be there then to stop at that point? because that gate was open 24/7. Anybody and everybody could come on through. Now, luckily, my gosh, we got it fixed in just this week, which is a fantastic. But we have to start looking, is it a 2 or 3 week period sometimes, like it was this past December? So that's just one option. Do we want a guard? We don't know. Is it just during the business hours or the construction hours? Which again, construction has access from 7 to 7, Monday through Friday, and of course from 7 to 4 on Saturday. So again, you're not looking at the construction, but you're looking at all the traffic that's coming through as far as the subcontractors. So that's just one option. The other option, do everyone think about is fencing? So that's an option just to think about. Obviously, with the new neighborhood right next to us, the 255 homes being built, do we ever want to just brainstorm the idea of having a fence around this area? We already have photography, pictures, and videos of people who are obviously driving their cars on either side of the actual clubhouse here, driving in the neighborhood. We see it up at the front gate. Obviously, they can't get in the front entrance. We have pictures of them driving in the back or the exit gate entrance, coming in that direction. So is that an option to think about? Do we want a fence surrounding this area going back? So there's just so many more ideas. Cameras, for example. Do we want more cameras here taking pictures of the license tags coming in the front gate or at the actual boat and dock area? Like we have pictures of maybe a car coming in, but we need pictures of a truck or trailer as it leaves. So just so many more options. The main thing is this is a very open forum tonight. We really want everybody's opinions, everybody's thoughts, everybody's ideas. So we just want to open this up to everybody. So please come up, share your thoughts and opinions, because that's something we really want to gather everybody's ideas on this. Okay? Thank you so much. Okay, who's first? Come on.
I gotta go over here. I'm Mike George. Anyone doesn't know me, I do the ARC stuff, but prior to that, I did access control for the community when we had guards. Just a few things on the guards, and I'm not against guards. Don't take it the wrong way, but as a general rule, the guards are greeters. They think of going into Walmart and having the old guy say, "How are you doing?" and stuff. Basically, that's what they're gonna do. I can tell you, so when you think security, don't think of the guards as adding extra security. They're just gonna monitor the gate. The other issue we had with the guards was a lot of residents would come up and say, "Hey, I seen some guy walking around the back of this house, call the police." And I had to eventually tell the guards, as a former policeman, cops don't want to hear that you heard from somebody else that there was someone walking around. Tell the people to call the police. You can't call the police. No cop wants to talk to you to say, "What happened?" "Well, so-and-so told me that they've seen this and they've seen that." So that's just something to keep in mind. I would make a suggestion as an option is if we were to put the poles of the gate out further, because no one's ever hit the wall. They've hit the gate, they never hit the wall. Put them out further. So we'd have to make, maybe extend the gate a foot and a half on each side. We'd have to get a new gate. That would stop that part, and then put in the arm, the one car at a time. And if you needed security, there's virtual guards. And I looked at this when I think Vince was the president, and Vince was the one that eventually said we'd get rid of the guards because they were greeters. And basically, that's about 40% cheaper. It's an actual guard. You talk to them in the camera. They have all the stuff. They can work the gate. They know all the other stuff. It might be, now you figure if we would expand the gate, put in the one car at a time and have a virtual guard, we'd probably save a lot more money. And that's just my 2 cents on it. Any questions? Any answers? I'll take it.
I've been involved in a lot of security and a lot of different applications. I'm Johan Doback. We just moved down from Northern Virginia, and I do government contracting, and I've been involved in a lot of this. I'm a civil engineer. so I have a lot of knowledge of different gate systems, different applications for different places, different things, all of that. And, clearly you're already looking to leverage technology. And I think that's a very valuable thing, and that we're going to get a lot more value out of whatever system we get utilizing the new technologies and everything. I'm not going to get into great details about gates or anything, but I can tell you, if you think that your gate gets hit a lot, you put a gate arm in there and it's going to be like hit daily. They're, they're really problematic. They will get destroyed daily. So gate arms are not the answer. Unfortunately, the only way to really stop piggybacking is make people wait and stop for the gate to close behind them. I mean, that's just the practical thing. That probably is not a reasonable expectation for this community. But there are perhaps technologies that could assist in doing that. Or but perhaps you could get a gate arm to come down if somebody is piggybacking and your sensor says someone else is running through, and you put an emergency stop down or something, and then they run into the gate arm and you have to replace it again. But in any event, there are a lot of solutions related to the gate, but I think the physical security of the perimeter of this community is a really big issue. You think, of course, it could just be the kids sneaking in to get it to the water to fish, but then he brings his buddy and his other buddy who maybe is not as green or anything, and they start looking around saying, wow, this is a beautiful place. They got all kinds of nice stuff, and and you just can't control who gets in there. You can't control if somebody that they don't control their dogs, or they don't have uh, good trained dogs or anything. I mean, I've seen the dogs here. They generally are very well behaved. But what's stopping a dog from running that in community and attacking your pet? You have to have some sort of perimeter, and a perimeter also sends a message. Even if we could do a secure fence and think about crash and all these other things and make, high security, but any fence, if you have to work to get over it and it has signage on it, that's trespassers will be prosecuted. It makes a clear cue that if anybody goes across this fence and goes in there and does anything, they are a clear trespasser, and you can instantly prosecute them and deal with the issue on whatever basis you want to deal with it. But you have to have some physical security, some physical barrier and signage on it. The level of security of this is subject to discussion, and we don't necessarily, I don't think where we are, we need a high security fence, but you need some barrier there. And then but maybe we have expectations where we want security. If you do a really cheap fence, somebody could just take an ATV, run right over it, and they're in. So there, perhaps there's a balance somewhere there, but clearly there has to be some sort of barrier and some sort of signage that both communicates that it is a private community and you shouldn't be trespassing, but at the same time, provides whatever level of security we're comfortable with. But by just doing that barrier and signage, if we do have a problem or an incident, we would be in a very strong position to prosecute and deal with whatever issue we have to deal with. So I'm not like saying what we need, but we need something, and that's about it. Thank you very much. Sir.
Devin Mahoney, been here for a couple years. All due respect, I don't think that we need a fence. I mean, I don't think that we need a fence at all. A fence, I mean, number one, how much is it gonna cost to put a fence from all the way over here, all the way down here, all the way to the side? Some of us live on the water. Are we gonna put like some type of blockage in the water so people can't drive a boat up and dock and then jump in our yard? I mean, that's just over the top. If we want to put a sign that says, do not trespass, we can still, call the police on somebody because they crossed the line, building a fence. I mean, look, I mean, I'm afraid of what with the fence? I mean, if people want to get into our pool, they're going to get into a pool. What are you going to do? A 15, 30-foot fence to stop it? I mean, people are going to get in if they want to get in. So I don't understand why there is even a need for something like that. So that's just my 2 cents.
Hi, I'm Marty Goldman, for those of you who don't know who I am. Johan, you said about putting up signs, but what do you consider a fence? Like if we planted thorn bushes, if everybody who lived along the berm on that side planted thorn bushes, would that be good enough? I mean, I'm just, just as an idea, maybe the homeowners get together and do whatever they feel like doing along the berm. Maybe the board can subsidize some of the plantings. But a thorn bush would certainly keep people out. And at the right season, like the end of a season, might be the best time to buy something because, they'd be half price even. Just an idea. We had those kind of bushes in New York and it did the job. Well, it was mostly to keep dogs out. We're catching.
So, I mean, I 100% agree with Devin. I'm Chris Creekmore. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I was supposed to introduce myself. Okay. I work in a lot of communities. I mean, obviously, I live in this one. This is the one that's near and dear to my heart. I can't think of a single development that has a berm on an exterior of another development, and there's a bunch that I go in and out of on a regular basis. I don't recall a single one that needs a fence on the perimeter, on the berm. Now, if something happened that caused an alarm, which unless somebody could tell me that there has been people crossing over the berm and coming into the community. I know that I've seen motorcyclers come through here one time that they were, yoo-hooing and so forth. But I don't see any advantage of having a fence around the perimeter. You put a fence around the perimeter, then people may say, well, why are they doing that? And so maybe we should poke a hole in that. But I don't see an advantage. I don't see any other development that has ever had to do that. And I can cite many communities that abut to others and have a berm. Now, I don't know if the discussion is on the gate. Are we having a discussion on the gate at all? And a security guard? So if I did the general math, we're 475 home sites somewhere. Okay. All right. And so if we were to pay a security company, again, $60,000, that comes up to maybe 125, 130 per property owner per year to pay for that. People who bought into this community years ago bought into a gated community. Now, there's probably a lot of us that were not here years ago. But that was originally what Oyster Harbor was to be, as a gated community. The advantage of having so just doing the pros and cons of the advantage, I just drove through Brunswick Plantation. Raise your hand if you've been in Brunswick Plantation. How hard is it to go through Brunswick Plantation? I mean, they'll ask you right off from the get, are you golfing? No, I was showing real estate. Fine, go. But that person at the gate certainly would monitor what's coming through the gate. Trusses seem to be a big issue of trying to get through this gate. So is there an advantage for having a security guard, which is nothing more really than a monitor to make sure that the trucks swing properly to get through the gate? Would I personally be willing to spend another $125 a year to have our gate not destroyed 5 or 6 times a year? I suppose I would. Would I see a security guard as a security? No, I wouldn't see it as a security. I would see it more as a monitor of coming in and out of the gate. Most of the gated communities Winding River is a classic example. Gates are open all day long, and tons of construction going through there all day long, but it's a different gate. It's an arm coming down, okay? And I have not done any measurements, but our measurement is probably much more limited by having the kind of gate that we have. So if I was to make a proposal, the proposal would be, should we look at a different kind of gate versus the gate? Still be a gated community, but a different kind of gate. Be it the arms that come down, less limiting on the trusses that come through. Granted, we're probably looking at another 5 to 7 years of heavy construction, maybe 3. And then after that point in time, reassess whether or not we need a security guard immediately until the gate is, if people agree to have a different kind of gate, I would see having a security guard for the temporary would be warranted. But I would strongly look at a different kind of gate versus the gate that we have. My 2 cents.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Are there any seats?
You need to bring them up. You
Huh?
got chair.
I just wanna see.
Chair right here. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one in here already.
Yeah.
What? Anybody else? Hey.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Dan Evans. I've been here since '06. Had a guard up until about 5 years ago, a greeter at the guard shack. We had them for about 8 hours a day, from about 9 to 5, maybe 8 to 5, but around 9 to 5. The last contract we had with the security company, it was $60,000, and that was 5 years ago. You're looking at 80 plus or so now, maybe, for 8 hours a day for a person that you tell the guard, please go out and greet the people as they come up to the gate. they may do this and they may not do that. They may need to come out. I mean, that's what happened to our guard, when we had him. We've had a number of guards though, but anyway, $80,000. We have absolutely no money in the budget for anything like that. We're going to, yeah, I've been on the board 3 times. I've been treasurer probably 4 times. And I've been on the FPC, Financial Planning Committee, 5 times. So I know about the budgets, how much money we have. And there's nothing in there of $80,000 you're going to pay that you can't even take 80 grand from over here and put it over here for the guard. There is no such thing as that. So that's just for information. And we only can go up 10% a year on dues. And we got a reserve, we got to keep financing. So I think a guard might be a bit much. As far as the fence around the community, the property owners own their property up to the berm. And in fact, over the berm. If you do, the people have surveys, they know that they own the berm. So I'm not sure how you're going to have property owners putting a fence on their property, which is 60 feet wide or whatever, 80 feet wide. And maybe that neighbor may not want a fence, and this one may want a fence, and they're not going to pay for it. And I'm not going to pay for those people to put a fence up on their berm. So I don't know how we're going to have a berm. I mean, have a fence along the berm on that side there where the development is coming in right now. That's just a thought. Any questions? Thank you.
One thing about the, real quick again, about the fence, a lot of things have been brought up to us about not the fence going along the whole entire berm with all the properties, but just for example, starting just right here at the clubhouse, just on this L shape, coming around right down to the pool. That's it. So that fence would again be not the whole residence going down the whole entire parcel, but just this immediate area where we've had so many people talk to us about people who are again riding bicycles in, bringing their golf carts in, bringing their cars in that aspect. So again, there's 2 different ways to look at fences. So that's what we've been brought up before. I just want to suggest that real quick. No problem. Is that problem? That's one of the things that's just been addressed. A lot of people have come up and talked to us about, I guess, so many non-residents coming in. Yes, we have seen that. Yes, so we have cars that are coming in. We've had cars that have come in, they don't have the resident stickers on their vehicles. We've actually seen them drive in, unload their bicycles, ride their bicycles through the neighborhood, load the bicycles back on their truck, and then they left. So we've seen things like that. We've seen a lot of golf carts coming in the neighborhood. Golf carts don't have the resident stickers. And then we see the golf carts drive and go right back out. So there's just some of the things we've seen. And again, but we're not up here monitoring 24/7, but we're getting calls from neighbors who are seeing these things as well. Just this past week, we had a vehicle that you put a boat in, but their trailer was not registered with Oyster Harbor, nor did they have a resident sticker on their truck. But somehow they got into the boat launch area and had put their boat in and had pulled their boat back out. So those are things we're just seeing, you know. And that's the catch. That's the problem where it shows up on the clicker, seeing when it comes in. That's why we're trying to get the idea is putting cameras there so we can actually see more when the vehicle goes in and when it goes out.
With rental car, who had clicked?
Right. So with rental cars, that's the catch with rental cars. So that's where it's almost impossible with the rental cars to actually monitor who's actually a resident or not. So the idea about having a rental car was the idea about having a tag that you can put around the windshield or the rearview mirror to hang down, showing that you're a resident or property owner. That's the idea behind that. So there's tons of ideas that we can just thinking about. But that's why we really want just your thoughts. Okay? Yeah, come on up. Wait.
My name is Ruth Sundstrom. My question is, these cars that are coming into the boat area, when they scan, when they click, doesn't that get recorded on a computer where you could say that clicker was assigned to Donna McGowan? So Donna McGowan, sorry, Donna. Sorry, Donna, you happen to be the first face I saw. But can't you say to Donna, who is this? And why are they using your clicker? Why are they coming into the community? They don't have a sticker on their boat ramp, their trailer, or on their truck, but they're using your access code, access clicker, the white card, or whatever they're using to open these gates. Doesn't the computer system record who that is registered to? Because we had to give you all that information.
We are not there 24/7.
No, I understand that, but if you've already looked and seen boat trailers and trucks going in with boats, and it's on, obviously somebody has called you or you've seen it on a camera or whatever, can't you go back into the computer and say, okay, on such and such a date at approximately this time, a white Ford F-150 pulling a Boston Whaler came into the thing. Whose access code did they use? Okay. Oh, absolutely. The gate, I understand that. Well, it happens we know what happens at the front gate. But isn't the speed of the gate regulated? It can't be open. No, I understand that, but I'm saying it can't go any faster. So unless people say, okay, I'm going to go through, but I'm going to wait until it's closing and I go through, then the gate opens. So it's got to be a different system. I mean, Brunswick Plantation has the arm. And you, like it was said, you go up there and you say, okay, I have a tea time at 12 o'clock. They go, okay, they let you in. I'm going to look at a house. Okay, they let you in. They don't, like Michael said, it's just a greeter. And to expect a greeter at $80,000 a year or 65 or whatever it's going to be, to say, okay, now your tractor trailer coming in with trusses, let me direct you in. Now I direct you in and I screw up because I'm just a greeter and I'm not trained in traffic control and I take out the gate and I'm the truck driver. How is that truck driver responsible if the person assigned to the gate is the one who's directed him in? So I think that's not a good idea either. Having a person as a greeter to direct them, I think that's a bad way to go, because the first time somebody hits that gate after being directed by our greeter or security guard, whatever you want to call them, it's going to be a lawsuit against us because they're not going to want to pay. That's all.
So have we compared other gated communities? In particular, have we looked at Winding River in the way Winding River functions? Have we?
This is the first step.
Oh, okay. 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 All right. Here's my recommendation. My recommendation would be to talk with the board at Winding River, because I can tell you, if I've got a client behind me and I'm trying to get into the gate and I open that fob, I've got to go through the gate and then I've got to get out of my car. I got to go back and open up that fob because that gate is quick. There's nobody following me getting into that Winding River gate. But it's an arm. It can go up and down very quickly. And because it's an arm, I would imagine that we can eliminate the need for the amount of fence that we have, that our very slow gate requires to hold it up. So again, I recommend that we look at other communities, other gated communities, in particular, other gated communities that have arms, versus what we have here. Because anybody can, we could probably get 4 cars behind the first car before the gate closes. Yeah. Well, yeah, they come through the, uh-huh. So, uh, because that arm drops quick. Yeah. It would have to be like right on the bumper, but that is, I don't, okay, they could, but
Piggyback. Behind, so you have a stop point.
the majority of the people who are sneaking in through here are not, I would have think, you guys got the cameras, but the majority of the people probably not trying to stay right on somebody's bumper. If somebody was, now me as a prudent property owner, if I had somebody a couple inches from my bumper, I'm not going to go through that gate. I would stop. But yeah, there's no other construction entrance into Winding River. And I do suggest to the board that contact the Winding River Board, because they've just upgraded their gate system again another time here recently. And it's a very effective way, seems to be a very effective way from keeping people just tailgating going in. And also, I never see the gates down because of a truss tearing it down, which is what happened on the last gate, right? Yeah, yeah.
Mark Brecken from Portside. I think that one of the things that I think we should think about as we go into anything like this, security, as you know, is a never-ending bucket that can take as much money as you're willing to put in it. So what I think this community should think about first is how much money are we willing to put at this as an investment. And then the second thing I think we should think about is, are there other projects that aren't covered by the reserve funds that are coming up that we might want to do? And we should consider those projects and this. If this is truly what I've been hearing, where we don't really have the money to do this, so then this becomes on the top of everything we're doing, perhaps. So I just think that that's something that we should think about ahead of time as we walk into it, because if not, we'll get so in love with solving the problem that it's really easy to spend a lot of money on some kind of, trying to fix something, and then we just get fixated on it. And next thing you know, we spent a whole lot of money that we really didn't need to spend necessarily. Security is important. I'm not saying it's not. I don't feel very at risk. Fact is, I don't feel at risk at my house. I don't feel at risk by people coming in the gates or going in and using our boat ramp. So and I'm not saying that it's not a problem. I'm just saying that from a risk perspective, it doesn't rise very high for me. If it was my own home entirely, to the point where I'd want to spend a lot of money on it. So.
I'm Donna McGowan. I'm the one that had the white truck. I got squealed about. I've been here for about 15 years, been on the board 8 of that. And we have already invested a lot of money in the gates and the cameras. I don't know if you've got a new generation of those. We've talked about that over the years. And in the past, distant past, the community management company could either be called or they can monitor when there is someone doing something, and I would just call and say, somebody just went in the pool and they don't, I don't know if they belong here. It was 10:02. What's the code? What'd they use? How'd they get in there? So if we would do some more of that, we could get to who these people are. We may be surprised that they are owners. They may live outside of here and they have amenity rights because they got a lot. Or they live in Northern Virginia and they come down here to visit, but they don't know we need a parking sticker or something. So I used to hear a lot from people that were owners, that they were approached and questioned, and it's disrespectful. So we should be careful that we're not talking about our own owners. We're all alike whether we live here or not. We have had ARM, and I don't know that it was installed correctly. I think the parts of it are still here. We had ARM down here. I don't know that it's still there either. So that's what we do with arms, and we live here. So just keep that in mind. But our gates and our cameras, there's a lot of whistles and bells, and maybe we haven't approached the limit of what they are. We did talk when Mike was head of the security about this virtual guard, and it was expensive, and it was, to me, it was, instead of you looking at the keypad, this face came up. I don't need that, but that's there. With respect to the new community that's going next door, I was on the board. Joanne was the president. Danny went with us to the commissioners meeting. So we know a little bit about that. We always had horror thoughts that it would be something worse than that. I think some of us are like, thank God it's not what we thought it could be. Their plans are to have a 30-foot buffer on the berm. It's vegetative. They are not required to do a fence. I remember at the time that some of our residents said, I want a fence. And they're not required to do a fence. And as others have said, the property on the berm belongs to our homeowners. The HOA should not be spending money for protecting those lots. The board doesn't have the authority to put something on someone's lot and pay for it. And we have berms in other places along Clambake, other places, works fine. I don't know if people come over once in a while, but there are other berms. We've had trouble over the years, people coming in by boat. So someone didn't want to have a fence along their dock. So everything you've been talking about, we've talked about it over the years, and it comes and goes. The guard, well, now there's more traffic, but before they would go to sleep. There was nobody coming. But I think we just, well, there was 2 ladies. One was in here eating. But the other thing I was going to say, now I forgot what it was. I can't be interrupted, but I was telling Jim, shh. But I've heard some good ideas. I don't feel afraid. Before, when I first got here, I think newbies, you're afraid there's gators and you're afraid of these people outside of here. I don't mind. I saw this gentleman, he may not even live in here. Now, there is a baby carriage in here, and that's good. But there's one that another guy went out. I don't care. This is the South. We're not up north near Washington. And it's northern people. I do think that we have to be more careful at the water park, people following. Don't share anything. Once we find people are doing something and we investigate whose card was that, whose code was that, they should lose their amenity rights if they're sharing things. But I think we can try to manage this better. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's the security, if it's the management company, who do we call? But we can, and we have in the past, determine who these people are that, and sometimes it's one of us. And there's a lot of us that we don't all know each other. But, and Dan said we don't have the money. If we did, I didn't hear it tonight. I heard a rumor that special assessment for the fence or something. You're not going to get 76% to vote on spending more money out of your own pocket. If we were to, I mean, we don't have enough money to do anything with this. This is not in the reserve. There's that boat ramp out there. There's these roads. The guard would be operating. The only way to get that would be to increase, and you can only do by 10%. And we've already been doing that for so long. And we've been putting more into the reserves for all these big expenditures. The reserves are for 20 years. So I think we need to be careful what's a priority. And if something does start to happen, we may have to get the sheriff's office involved if we start seeing things. That is an HOA. It's supposed to be an HOA before they sold the first lot. They were supposed to establish that. I don't know if the berm is there. You might want to check it out. Make sure that's 30 feet and vegetative. And if there's a problem, then revisit this maybe. Thank you.
Yeah, what's on the plan for like the 30-foot buffer, the 30-foot buffer clearance in the county GIS. And there is a flat spot along the boundary line. The berm is entirely contained within the community properties. At least for the part that I'm curious.
So I'm TJ Cook. We have a lot on 529, lot 529. So, all right, sorry. So first of all, I still don't think we've defined a problem. This is a really safe community, and I walk my dogs here every day. My wife plays pickleball. We do all kinds of stuff in the community. I've never seen an incident at all, other than some of my neighbors. That's a different story. So I think we should be more afraid of that than we are with people coming in from the outside. Now, do people come in and use the amenities? I don't know about that. I think we should maybe invest in cameras to see if it is actually an issue. I know my daughter is a 33-year-old physician with professional friends that came down, used our place, used the pool, and they were accosted down here. Do they belong in the pool? So the statement of people being approached about, do you belong here? I think we need to be really careful about that. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's family in my case. So the other thing is, I don't know about the tailgating into the dock area, but don't do that behind me because I don't know where my boat's going to go coming in. Okay. So I don't know that that's really an issue. I've never seen that. And we use that boat dock a lot, the launch. I've never seen people use it that have not belonged there. And if they did, I think it may have just been a mistake that they needed a sticker or something. So the other point is, I lived in a community in Virginia where they had those gates that came down right away. And what happens is they break off right away. Every day they broke, and every day it was open. And every day the guards are in there fitting the rest of the pieces in, and it got shorter and shorter until they bought a new one. and then put it in, and then the same thing would happen, okay? Because you can't have it like steel coming down. It's a piece of plastic coming down that's going to break, okay? Now, I saw some people tailgating coming in here, but they belonged here. So are you actually going to stop, wait for these gates to close, and then come back in? The answer to that's probably not. I still don't think we'd find a problem. If we have an issue with people coming in that don't belong here, the only people that I've seen that make up the majority of traffic are construction workers or neighbors or golf carts. And I think it's just a beautiful community. And I don't think we should ruin it by trying to put up big gates, fences, until we define, is there actually an issue? And if there is, let's deal with that. Let's come back, assess it. I work in hospitals. We use virtual sitters. They're patient companions, and it's a mixed bag. So if you're looking like a virtual guard, like a screen or something to monitor it that calls out to you, it's not going to work for the purpose. If you want to come into this community, you're going to find a way in. I just haven't seen it be an issue. So that's my personal opinion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. CJ, for the year, has there been any break-ins?
No, not, okay. Say it again? I can't hear. Crime have we had? How many break-ins have we had?
Car was broken into, the firearm was taken out. You left the firearm door open, and that the car.
And how long? What period of time was that? Right, what period of time was that?
People stop eating. But I never. About 6, 7 years ago, a next door neighbor in the cul-de-sac across the way, they came over the berm and knocked out the back door and went in and ransacked the house. And I don't know what they took, but it was broken into. A neighbor down the street, he had his weapon in the vehicle. I think he left the vehicle unlocked, and the guy he rifled him and took the firearm and a CD player and whatever else was in that vehicle. But it hasn't happened often, but I can think of at least. And they came in from the river. They came in by boat from the river. Now they didn't come up this way. They came in by the point. Let's see, no, where. I'm trying to think now where it was. Anyway, they came in the little slope and came that way. It happens. We have these. What's the development over here? The 3 or 4 of them. No. Tanglewood. We had the sheriff. 3 or 4 years ago, 5, maybe 6, 7 years ago, came in and told us about the area. Tanglewood. They had a map. And they showed of all the crimes happening in Tanglewood. It wasn't encouraging. Now that was 5, 6 years ago. Maybe they cleaned it up and all. I don't know. But they said, be careful. Know your neighbor and let them know when you're going out of town and all that sort of thing. We have a community watch now. I don't know how effective it is. I don't know how far along it is, but we have a community watch here now. But anyway, so we've had a couple of break-ins, but I've also been here, 18, 19 years, and we haven't had that many, but we've had a few. Would you agree with what? Long amount. Oh. How many times 15
do you know of incidents when you felt like there was a concern crime this neighbor?
Yeah, put it on one hand.
Just, would you say that?
Thought I just did. I thought I just did. Oh, okay. How often over the last 19 years have we had break-ins or vandalism or whatever? Less than half a dozen times that I'm aware of. Less than half a dozen times.
Thank you. Thank you for your history.
You're welcome.
Already there, thank you.
I'm Joanne Schiavone. I was on the board as well as Donna and Vince and Dan and you guys. And I agree with TJ. What is the problem? Are we afraid of people coming in? Or are we afraid of vandalism? What is it? You don't want people to use our amenities? My son, the cops got called on him. He was down at the kayak launch. They didn't know who he was. And he belonged here. It is very insulting, as with your daughter, to have somebody come up to you and say, do you belong here? So there are many people that do belong here. They might own property and they might be dropped off to the pool. We don't know. So what is the problem? What are we trying to solve? Is my question. If it's people piggybacking in, that's going to happen. I don't think that our system is being used to its utmost. So maybe we can just beef it up a little bit, or, we don't have the money for guards. And it's insulting to think that our neighbors are going to come in here and rob us and walk their babies through our community. So what? Like Donna said, it's the South, we're friendly. So what's the issue? That's all.
Yes. I'm just going to share some comments from the Zoom. There's been quite a lot, so I'm just going to try to cover some of so there was a question, not really knowing that much about the boat ramp access, that they weren't sure that tailgating was really an issue. They are not. They haven't seen it. But they have seen the gate open with nobody there numerous times. So I don't know if there's something with the gate to check. Is it opening when it shouldn't? Then please example what the major security concerns are. For example, have homes been robbed, or is it just people walking around? We don't know. So it's sort of, again, people saying similar to what you've heard. There was a comment, Dolphin Shores has had vandalism and break-in in cars. The back fence and gate did not prevent these things. An engaged community watch program is very effective. And then another, sounds like promoting and enhancing the community watch program may go a long way on solving our problem. And I think that's pretty much covers. But so you could have the comments from the people who have been listening from the Zoom.
Yeah, I'm Scary. I've lived here probably 3 years or so. And the only time I can remember, we did have some people on four-wheelers come across the berm back when that was just sand out there. And they went and pilfered through all the vehicles they could find that were unlocked. And they ended up getting 7 firearms that night. But as far as the gate, I think we can correct that. Like Mike said, we can extend the gates out past the 2 walls And that would give these truss trucks plenty of room to slide through there. And as far as, yeah, sometimes the gates are open on the water park. At one time, we had a problem with the wires being so close to the ground that the people weed eating would cut the wires in two and then the gates would just stay open. And then we would have to repair that and whatnot. And then one more thing, I want to give a big shout out for Tom Janke. He's been doing all the stucco on the walls out here, trying to get them back. He's been painting the fences out here, the black fence with the black paint, getting them back up to where they look good. And as soon as we pick a color for the walls, he's volunteered to start painting again. So I just want to give a big shout out.
Good evening. I'm Vince Bracken. I was on the board when we eliminated the guards. And what happens with guards? One, I'll give you a couple examples. One, we had guards asking for money from the residents. We had guards asking for rides home. We had guards curling their hair all day long. The thing is also, guards will not call the police. They will call the board. The board calls the police if there's an incident. That's the last thing I think the board needs is more drama, more phone calls. So to me, and $80,000 a year, that's not the way to go. We don't have the money. We can put it somewhere else. We can do something better with it. When it comes to a fence, I'm on the fence. I don't, not with the berm, but around the clubhouse. I'm not sure. I think we need to enhance our gate so we can get people in and out, and it's going to close 7 days a week. And we need to enhance our security, meaning the cameras. Have management more involved, like Joe and Donna were saying. We would make a phone call to the management, say, hey, we have a problem, check it out. They get right on, they start looking, we'd know who it was, what happened, and go from there. And then the board would decide what to do. And confronting people in a pool or the water park, that's a bad idea. Take my word for it. It's a bad idea. It just leads to a lot of confrontation. Once again, alcohol is a major factor here also, especially in the summertime. People want to have a good time. As long as we're cordial, polite, hey, knock yourself out. But I think, as I said, gate needs to be repaired. I said it at the 2 meetings ago that it's going to happen again, and it did. And it's going to happen again. We got way too many bills coming in here. So, yeah, Mike is right. Scott, take on the outside. And I think you guys will solve your problem. Granted, we don't pay for it. Contractors pay for it. So we're not reaching in our pockets to repair it. But I think we should go forward and do it ourselves and make sure we have it right, where we're not having this issue where we're getting phone calls, when are you going to fix the gate?
My name's Paul Marlowe. I've been here for about 8 years now. Unfortunately, I'm retired, so I'm in a position where I can spend about an hour a day each morning in this clubhouse. And let me just share some observations, firsthand observations with you of what happens out here at these gates each and every morning. Some vehicle pulls up to that kiosk and they have one of these, or they have a barcode on their windshield, or they have the magic 4-digit code. In the meantime, about 8 to 10 vehicles have stacked up behind that first vehicle. And once those iron gates open, it's literally a freight train. All 8 to 10 vehicles are now in our neighborhood. So if there's a problem, I don't know for sure. They could all have valid reasons to be here, especially with the construction we've had in the past 2 to 3 years. They could be contractors, subcontractors, realtors, who knows? And they may have valid reasons to be here, but they're in our gated community all of a sudden. without permission. So how do you fix that? I don't know. I agree with a couple of things Chris had to say. I would recommend that you check with other communities that use a lift arm, maybe from 7 to 7 each day. The metal gates stay open and it's just the lift gate to control access. And then the metal gates close back. Just an idea there. So I think maybe we should look at Brunswick Plantation, I think was an example, in Winding River are two in this area, and see.
I've seen Winding River on a regular basis.
So at least we can find out. I'm sure they do get hit and broken and get shorter, but how do the communities that are using them now successfully, how are they doing it? Thanks.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Thank you, everybody, for zooming in and being here. Again, we just really wanted everyone's opinion. That's the main thing we wanted. Thank you for making the time and everything. And please let us know in the future if you have any questions at all. All right? Thank you.